The first win came on November 11th. Who could forget it? An exhilarating come-from-behind 6-5 win over the San Diego Sockers. The first road win came November 26th in Syracuse, 7-6 over the Silver Knights. And tonight, they hope for another franchise first, a winning streak, as the Major Arena Soccer League presents the Florida Tropics as they host the St. Louis Ambush. Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Lakeland Center in Lakeland, Florida, as tonight the Florida Tropics look to do something they have not done so far in their first ever season in the Major Arena Soccer League, and that is win 2 games in a row. They are coming off a very good performance last weekend here in Lakeland, an 8-6 win over the Dallas Sidekicks. That improved their record to 4-7 and puts them squarely in the playoff chase in the Eastern Division of the Eastern Conference. St. Louis comes in 1-9, so the Tropics very confident, although they certainly need to be careful not to be overconfident, that they can pick up a win here tonight against St. Louis. The two teams will play again Sunday afternoon, so it's a weekend doubleheader of sorts here in Central Florida. Sunday afternoon's game, which of course we will have for you as well at www.masl.tv. That kickoff on Sunday is 5:35. But first things first, here tonight the Tropics will introduce a new player. They hope will spark an offense that certainly came to life last week in the absence of their leading scorer, Ricardo Diegues. And if we're talking about some player news, not really good news for the St. Louis Ambush tonight, as they are without 2 of their key contributors. Tony Glavin's club not traveling with, first of all, the leading shot blocker in the MASL this season. He is back in St. Louis. That is not good news for the visiting Ambush. And one of their leading scorers, Stephane St. Louis, is also not making the road trip. So right out of the gate, the Ambush without Chris Mattingly with his 30 defensive blocks, and without Stephane St. Louis, who is tied for second in the St. Louis scoring with 7 points on the season. Both of these clubs have some trouble finding the back of the net, although statistically they are pretty even. You look at goals for this year, Florida with 47, St. Louis with 42, goals against, Florida 77, St. Louis 73, so statistically they are pretty even, but St. Louis still looking for someone to really step forward offensively. Richard Schmerman is their leading goal scorer with 7 goals and 9 total points, but the Ambush, the only team in the Major Arena Soccer League without at least one scorer in double digits, although that could very well change tonight if Schmerman gets on the score sheet. Corey Edmondson is dressed. Adamson has 7 points. Mitchell Garcia, also with 7 points, is in the lineup, and Carlos Contreras with 6 is dressed as well, but no Stephane St. Louis, and that is definitely a loss for the Ambush. He has 5 goals in 8 games so far this season and was the game's #1 star back on December 9th when the Tropics visited St. Louis, played a very, very good first half, led 5-2 at intermission, and then played a very poor second half. St. Louis turning the tables and eventually winning that game 8-6. It's the only win St. Louis has so far this season. We'll talk more about that game and tonight's game in just a moment, but first we'll step aside for our national anthem.
What so proudly we've hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous
to rock and roll at the Lakeland Center tonight as the St. Louis Ambush and Florida Tropics get ready to kick things off here in just a couple of minutes. Another update on the roster situation for the Tropics. Anthony Arrico will be back in the lineup tonight. He is back from a one-game suspension last week. No Ricardo Diegues, of course, as we mentioned. If you didn't catch last week's broadcast, Diegues out of the lineup with a pretty serious hamstring injury. He suffered that in Cedar Rapids on New Year's Eve, and talking to him before the game tonight, he was in the training room getting some attention, and he is targeting a return on February 4th. Of course, Mother Nature will have some things to say about that, but he's feeling good, feeling better, and that's the target date, at least for Diegues to get back in the lineup. That will be a very important Eastern Division game against the Harrisburg Heat, and then the Tropics will close out their home portion of their schedule the following weekend with 2 games against Syracuse, and they are also divisional rivals. So really, that is the target date for Diegues, and that is very good news that he thinks he can be back for those games. He, of course, the team's leading scorer with 10 goals, although Freddie Mugin has the most points with 14 points, and Freddie, a former St. Louis Ambush player last year. In fact, we'll talk about that during the game, but Freddie stepping forward in a big way last Friday night in that win over Dallas, a 4-point night for Mugin, 3 goals and an assist. So he will be key again tonight to try and fill the void left by the injury suffered by Diegues. So the Tropics in their home whites tonight, and the Ambush in the road black, so it should be pretty easy to tell who's who. And we are underway. St. Louis trying to control here on the opening kick. That's Adamson with it. Back now to Casey Clark, the goaltender. Tries to get it up to Kostakis. And the Ambush will counter. Teixeira intercepts. Mugin has it. Off the boards in front. Casey Clark, though, got a hand on it as Mugin tried to find Victor Rojas. Into the corner around the boards, and Clark comes up with it easily, and here's a quick outlet. Intercepted, though, by Monolaris. He had his first goal of the season last week, one of those players that stepped up for the Tropics. Monolaris with it. We expect to see Daniel Mendez tonight. We'll talk about him during the broadcast, the Tropics' latest addition. Should be a good one, brought in to spark the offense. Here's a counterattack now for St. Louis, although Bletlinger will feed it into the zone, and there's a header just wide by Contreras. Carlos Contreras with a good scoring opportunity early. Ball off the boards in front. Monolaris tries to clear, has some trouble. Here's a steal, and Monolaris will get it back. Plays it up to Arrico now. Arrico, and is he into the sideboards hard, and no blue card there. And Arrico definitely a little shaken up, and he's going to head to the bench. Arrico, one of the 3 Tropics that played in St. Louis last year. Of course, Freddie Mugin, as we mentioned, who is now the Tropics captain and assistant coach. Arrico and the Tropics netminder, Peter Sliwa, all key players for St. Louis last year, coming over in the offseason. J.P. Reyes with it now for Florida. To Teixeira and to Robbie Aristodemo, who also had his first of the season, playing in his 4th game tonight. Signed in December by the Tropics. 281 career points in the indoor game, now 282 with that goal last week. Standout with the Baltimore Blast for many years, won 3 championships in Baltimore. Tropics control, Reyes has it, line change for Florida. Teixeira's been out there for a bit, and he will head to the bench as Sliwa comes up with it. No, he's not going to. He'll stay on the floor. Thought about it. Long ball now down for Mugin. Rojas making a run. Here's a shot, save in front. Good save by Clark. Pereiras was there. There's a long ball, and that just misses on the short side. Rojas with some pressure, but the ambush will clear. Teixeira tries to knock it away and does, gets it to Pereiras now. Pereiras being marked in there by Nathaniel Cast, one of the youngsters dressing tonight for St. Louis. Just underway, a little better than 3 minutes gone here in the first quarter, no score. Kostakis with it. To Krantz, another one in the lineup tonight for St. Louis. That's Lucas Almeida at the center circle. Team captain feeds a long ball into Victor France. Here's a long ball and a good save by Sliwa as Kostakis let it fly from about 55 feet. Kostakis tracks down the rebound, looks for a shot, can't get it through as it is blocked in there by Pereiras. Now here's Kranz. Gets it back out to the midfield circle to Mitchell Garcia. Here's some pressure now by Arico. Intercept by Rodriguez for the Tropics. To Teixeira, and he will head to the bench now. Peter Sliwa wearing his St. Louis ambush teal goaltender outfit tonight, I noticed. Long ball down from Mugin, but intercepted nicely in there by Dylan Hundell. Playing just his second game this season for the ambush. Almeida with it now on the left wing. Knocked away. Arico tries to play it off the boards to himself, but good defensive work there by Almeida. Little give and go between Corey Dowell and Almeida. Here's Dowell, long shot, and that just misses on the short side. Mugin in control now for Florida. Stolen by Takada. Takada will look for some help and leaves it on the left side for Contreras, right back to Takada rather. Native of Japan. Not a lot of those in the indoor game, but he is a very good player. Long ball down to Blentlinger. Knocked away by the Tropics, who look to clear the zone. But St. Louis will steal it away. This is Schmerman with it. Richard Schmerman, the long shot and a great save by Sliwa. Boy, he just got a hand on that, and that one was ticketed for inside the far post. Very good save by Sliwa. St. Louis coming off their best performance of the season, according to Tony Glavin. Had a chance to catch up with him before the game, and he was pretty pleased with the effort against Milwaukee. They led that game into the fourth quarter, ended up losing it to Milwaukee in Milwaukee, but a very good performance, Tony thought, and something certainly to build on, and they have come out strong here tonight. Aristodemo gets it over now to Reyes. Teixeira looks to feed it into Laidley. Laidley deep in the corner, back to Teixeira now. Here's Teixeira. Laidley. Laidley looks for help. Monolaris tries to tee up Rojas, can't do it. Teixeira will track it down and play it all the way back to Peter Sliwa. $7:50 to go, still scoreless here in the first quarter. Pereiras to Rojas. Top of the box now to Freddie Mugin. He's dangerous. Oh, he tried to step around, and a nice defensive play there. Good move by Cast. Cast on the left side, misses. Rebound shot, oh, blocked in front. Still loose, cleared the zone. Mugin. Mugin's going to lose possession. No whistle. But the Tropics will control. St. Louis showing some good early aggressive play here. Certainly had several good scoring opportunities. See if Montoleros can set things up. Gives it to Nascimento. Look deep in the St. Louis zone for Rojas, and it's headed over the glass into the crowd, so a good restart opportunity here for Florida. And we'll have an official's timeout before the Tropics will get a chance to get the restart. Wanted to say a special hello to all our friends in St. Louis tonight. I know it's not the nicest of weather out in the Arch City, so hopefully you're tucked in safe and sound and enjoying the broadcast here tonight from Central Florida, where would you get mad at me if I told you on my car thermometer on the way to the arena tonight it was reading about 77 degrees, so sorry about that for the folks back in St. Louis, but they're hardy souls. And better days are ahead for the Ambush, I promise. Certainly also want to make a special hello if he's tuning in, and I'm sure he probably is, to Jamie Swanner and his wife Karen. Jamie, of course, an assistant coach with the Ambush, and had the pleasure of broadcasting Jamie's games for a number of years in Buffalo when he played with the Buffalo Blizzard before coming back to St. Louis and helping the Ambush, of course, win the NPSL championship in 1994-95. He's a good guy and enjoyed getting to know him and Karen, and so if they're tuning in tonight, a special hello to the Swanners. And no, the Swan City Syndicate, which is the official fan club of the Florida Tropics, is not named after you, Jamie, but we'll let you think that. How's that? Good to have you aboard. Restart from the top of the arc here. Teixeira will be the trigger man. Mujin is out there. Rojas. Rodriguez down low. Here's Mujin with it. Shot, and that's blocked. Cody Kostakis got in the way of that one. Mujin tried to feed it through to Rodriguez. Couldn't, but the Tropics will control. Teixeira de Nascimento now on the near boards to Rodriguez. Being watched by Kostakis. Back to Nascimento. Tried to get it to Mujin, and he couldn't come up with it, and it rolls all the way to Clark. Casey Clark comes into the game tonight with a goals against average of .723. We talked about how statistically these teams were very similar. Peter Sliwa's goals against average is .713. So again, almost identical. Battle along the far boards of Rico and Contreras will finally be whistled for the obstruction foul. Good to have Rico back in the lineup, as folks in St. Louis certainly know he plays the game with a lot of passion and enthusiasm. Brings that to the floor every shift, and something that the Tropics look forward to having on the floor. Bad bounce off the boards, and Mujin had no chance to get it. Dylan Hundelt with it. Almeida now, knocked off by Arico. Arico with it. And the Tropics just clear the zone, as Reyes was a little concerned. Almeida with the intercept on the clear. Knocked off the boards, and the Ambush will control. This is Contreras, shot. Good save by Sliwa again. Aristodemo with it. Again, pressure by the Ambush. This is something that the Tropics usually do very well. Here's Laidley. Laidley creates some space for him down the left side. Couple of step-over moves. Shot! And a good save by Clark. Aristodemo gets it in front, and there's a Laidley on the half volley, and he can't get to it, as Daniel Mendez is also out for his first shift. Couldn't quite get to it in front, but Daniel Mendez with an opportunity, and he's got it along the far boards. Feeds it back out, a long shot, well wide by Reyes. Heads it down into the ambush zone. That's Mendez with it. He's wearing number 4 for the Tropics. Does not have a name on the back of the jersey. Originally thought he was going to wear 31, but he is number 4 in our hearts and minds. Bad line change for St. Louis, and here's Mendez with it. Mendez, shot goes well wide. St. Louis fortunate that they didn't cough one up there. Here's Almeida, quickly back now for St. Louis on the counter. Far side, nobody there, and Teixeira will pick it up. Teixeira pushes forward. Gets it to Mugin, deep in the left corner. Freddie looking for some help. And he'll get it back all the way out to the half circle where Monolaris will pick it up now over to Pereiras. Pereiras over the red line. To Teixeira. Teixeira, long shot blocked. St. Louis, Hundelt picks it up. Plays it back to Clark. Dylan Hundelt comes by his skill honestly. He's the son of former St. Louis Steamer and ambush standout Kevin Hundelt. Here's a steal. And not a great shot as Victor France couldn't get much behind it, and Sliwa makes the save. That I know of, it's the second son of a former indoor soccer standout that has played here in Lakeland this year. Of course, Chris Toth, the outstanding goaltender for the San Diego Sockers, son of Zoltan Toth, played here on opening night when the Tropics shocked San Diego with that 6-5 win. Here's a long ball now to Laidley. Laidley with it. Gives it to Reyes. Reyes will play it all the way back to midfield to Nascimento. This is Rodriguez with it. Feeds it in for Laidley. Can't control it. St. Louis will clear the zone, and Nascimento will track it down and play it to Peter Sliwa. Both teams will change here with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Still scoreless. Teixeira to Aristodemo. Gets it down to Mugin. Back to Robbie. To Teixeira. Now Rojas with it. To Mugin. Mugin at the top of the arc. Lays it off to Teixeira. Long shot. Blocked at the St. Louis defense. So the Tropics will reset the offense once again here. Mugin has had the ball several times at the top of the penalty arc, and that is a dangerous spot to let him have it. He's got it again now out near the red line, and he'll play it back to Teixeira. To Aristodemo now. Little flick into Rojas. Rojas tries to come through, and will he draw the... No, I'm going to say the foul is against Florida. Okay. Sure looked like he got tripped. Last minute of play here in the quarter. Sliwa will come out and be challenged by Blentlinger. But Teixeira will settle it here for the Tropics, looking for one more scoring opportunity before the end of the quarter. It's a slow start last week, just 2-1 game at halftime, ended up 8-6. Here's Teixeira. Kind of how it goes in indoor soccer sometimes. Nice ball through to Teixeira, just poked away. Loose in front, Mugin, oh, he was looking for Teixeira back post and he had stopped his run. Good idea by Mugin, and Teixeira wasn't there. Monolaris on the intercept, bicycle kick and a goal! At the buzzer, Victor Pereiras with a beauty! The ambush are going to say that time had expired, but I think they will count it. I believe the officials are going to say there were 2 seconds actually on the clock when the goal was scored. Victor France pleading his case. or St. Louis's case, as is Corey Adamson, but they will not win it. What a tremendous goal by Pereiras and a great heads-up play, no pun intended, by Lucas Monaleras, who knew that time was short and he headed it into the box where Pereiras was left all alone, and Pereiras with a spectacular bicycle kick goal, and the Tropics lead at 1-0. They will put 1 second back on the clock, so the Tropics draw first blood here tonight in Lakeland. And that will do it for the first 15 minutes. Well, St. Louis played a pretty good 15 minutes, but will end up on the short end of a 1-0 score on the bicycle kick goal. Certainly electrifies the crowd here in Lakeland tonight. Another pretty good turnout on a Friday night in Central Florida. For those not familiar, Lakeland is about halfway between Tampa and Orlando. Orlando about 45 minutes to the east. Tampa about 45 minutes to the west. Lakeland, a city of about 100,000, right on the famous I-4 corridor in Central Florida that runs from Daytona Beach to the Tampa-St. Petersburg area. First season of professional indoor soccer for the Tropics in the Major Arena Soccer League. Of course, Andrew Haynes, the team owner, previously owned the St. Louis Ambush for the last 3 seasons. Sold his ownership stake in the offseason and came to Central Florida to start the Tropics. So that is another reason that these two teams kind of consider themselves big rivals. Not only did you have the trio of Sliwa, Mujin, and Arico, who were St. Louis Ambush players last year, but the team owner also switching sides, if you will. So officially the Pereiras goal comes at 14:59, and it was Anthony Arico on the assist, making that pass into the box. So Pereiras with the goal and Arico with the assist at 14:59. Really pretty play all the way around. For Pereiras, that's his 3rd goal of the season. Long ball into the box, and Clark will have it. Check that for Pereiras. That's his 7th goal of the season. He's got 2 assists. But here's St. Louis with an opportunity deep in the zone, and Sliwa couldn't get it. Here's a shot blocked by Laidley as Hundelt tried to tee it up from near the top of the arc. Laidley tries to clear the zone, and Monaleras will play it back, but right there was Kostakis. Gets it to Takada, who wears number 13. We'll see if it's lucky for Kentaro tonight on Friday the 13th. Mitchell Garcia with it, Schmerman and Garcia, and Takada kind of playing keep away out near the center line. Now here's the ball into Garcia. And back out to the half circle. Schmerman to Almeida. Almeida loses it, and Florida will regain possession. Sliwa will call off Nascimento. Mendez out again now for the Tropics with Freddie Mujin up front. That is a potentially lethal scoring combination. It's Mendez with it. Reyes and now Teixeira. Teixeira down to Mujin. Mujin off the boards. Oh, and it just couldn't quite get it. Almost a good scoring opportunity for Freddie right there. It's good defensive work in there by Schmerman to make sure Mujin didn't really have a clear opportunity. Mendez picks it up, loses it. St. Louis will counter, does not really have man numbers up, and so Schmerman will pull it back out and head to the bench on a line change. St. Louis out shooting Florida in that first quarter 6-5. As I said, it really was a pretty good quarter for St. Louis. They had some good scoring opportunities, especially early. Here's a long ball down to France, and Mendez able to knock it back to Sliwa, but the ambush will quickly regain control. Cast with it. There's a push, but no whistle. Kranz now to Garcia. Back to Kranz. Mujin with some pressure. He'll play it all the way back now to Clark. Three minutes gone, second quarter, 1-0 Florida. Mujin back defensively, knocks it away right to Sliwa now. Reyes with two ambush players on him, and St. Louis will make the steal. Kostakis with it. Thought about the long shot. He didn't have much help. Now lays a nice ball off in front. There's Kostakis. Good defensive play by Aristodemo to knock it away. Laidley now. Let's see if he can turn on the Jets. Laidley down the near boards. Being held there, and he'll smartly play it back out now. Rojas can't control, and Garcia has it. Plays it back to Clark, being watched in there by Laidley. Pressure now by the Tropics. Here's a steal. In front, there's a shot and a great save by Clark as Pereiras made a bid for his second of the night. Best save of the game right there by Casey Clark. Corner kick coming up for the Tropics. Let's see if Mujin is the point. Nope, it's going to go in. Well, came back to Monolaris, and he never really got a clear shot all the way through. And now Monolaris with a steal heads it down for Mujin. Mujin in the corner. Double teamed in there. And St. Louis will come out of it. Good steal by Monolaris. 3-on-3 though. Gets it to Mujin. Now Pereiras will join Mujin. Shot save by Clark. Teixeira will track the long ball down and play it back for Sliwa. Both teams will change here as Pereiras again counters for Florida. To Monolaris, and now to Teixeira, who will head to the bench. Boy, Pereiras will think about that one tonight. Beautifully set up right at the top of the arc, and Casey Clark was equal to the challenge. Here's Laidley. Picks it up, gets it in front. He was trying to find Rodriguez off the dasher boards, but never quite got through. Here's Dowell with it now for St. Louis. Corey Dowell. Plays it back to Hundelt. To Takata. Arica with some pressure, so St. Louis will play it back to Clark. Hundelt to get with it. Long ball into France. It's got Takata lurking in front, but Tropics will come out of there with it. Here's a counter for Reyes. Reyes has some space, being bumped in there by Schmermund. No whistle. Still loose. Here's Mujin with it. Mujin lays it off for Arico. Garcia breaks it up for the ambush. Counter attack for St. Louis now. Long ball down to Adamson. In front, Adamson with a second chance but can't control it, and Sliwa clears it for the Tropics. Here's Mendez with it to Rodriguez. 4-on-3 here for the Tropics. Not sure they fully realized it. Here's Teixeira with it. Teixeira in front. Rodriguez made a run, but had already gone past where the ball came off the boards. Busy night again in the MASL, although everything other than here in Lakeland tonight is out west. El Paso and Turlock will hook up in El Paso tonight. Ontario will host the Kansas City Comets, and a good one out in Tacoma tonight. Tacoma Stars and Cedar Rapids Rampage. Lately trying to make a steal. He did that last week and ended up with a goal. Clark will just clear the zone here. He's got Letlinger. And he'll get it back out to Schmerman. But none of those games, maybe the game in El Paso will start before this one ends, but barely, if at all. No action tonight involving any of the other Eastern Division teams, but a big one tomorrow night in Baltimore when the Blast will host the Harrisburg Heat. Kostakis with it for St. Louis. He'll play it cross-field to Kranz and head to the bench. Halfway through the second quarter, still 1-0. The bicycle kick goal by Victor Pereiras holding up so far. Here's a miss-hit by Kranz. Monolaris didn't know that he had ambush players behind him. Here's a 2-on-1 opportunity. Sliwa with a great save as Almeida tried to perhaps think about putting it across the box instead of taking the shot himself, and Sliwa was equal to the task. Best opportunity of the second quarter here for St. Louis. But Peter Sliwa is able to stop that ambush opportunity. Don't forget, these same two teams will play here Sunday afternoon. Get your tickets by going to www.floridatropics.com or by calling the Tropics office tomorrow at 863-333-5353. That is the Tropics and St. Louis ambush here Sunday afternoon at the Lakeland Center. This is game 2 of what is a 7-game homestand for Florida. They will not play next weekend. They've got 2 against St. Louis this weekend, off altogether next weekend, so a chance to catch a breather and refresh a little. And then the Kansas City Comets will revisit on January 27th. The final 3 games of the homestand come February 4th, 11th, and 12th, and that starts that final stretch of 6 games in February, all against Syracuse and Harrisburg. And so those games figure to be very, very large in the playoff race before all is said and done. Restart for the ambush just inside the Florida red line. Long shot, good save by Sliwa. That one got all the way through. Clark clears the zone now. Good steal by Contreras. Shot just wide near post. Hundelt with it. Stolen away by Pereiras. Pereiras back the other way. A little hold there by Hundelt. No whistle. Wonder who he learned that from. Just kidding, Kevin, if you're watching. His dad was a terrific player. Here's the long ball down to Freddie. Strange bounce off the dasher boards again. We've seen that a few times tonight. Must be a Friday the 13th bounce. Cleared back out to the neutral zone where Sliwa will bring it up for St. Louis. Sliwa should have been credited with a goal, believe it or not, in that loss at St. Louis. Now here's a shot by Nascimento, a good save by Clark, although he just had to get low enough to get it, and he did not give up a rebound, which was the key there. The Tropics, with that terrific first half, they went to the intermission 5-2, but it should have been 6-2. Sliwa came out of his defensive end doing his best Slobo Ilyashevsky and cracked one from, probably 65, 70 feet that had a lot of English on it. Clark had trouble handling it. It spun off his hands down actually into the goal, just over the goal line, and had so much English on it, it came right back out, and nobody saw it actually go over the goal line. But clearly on the video replay, when you watched it later, there was a little bit of grass, or astroturf as the case may be, between the goal line and that ball. So Sliwa should have been credited with a goal and was not. Don't know if it would have made a big difference. As we said, St. Louis came out and played a terrific second half in that one. Won an 8-6. France with it deep in the left corner. Back to Garcia. To Schmerman. To Almeida. Almeida makes a run shot. Nice save by Sliwa. Cool and collected right there. Made it look easy, and that was a nice little give and go. Monolaris heads it over for Laidley. Plays it back for Rodriguez. No goals here in the second quarter, just the one by Pereiras at the end of the first. That's it. 1-0 Tropics. Long ball to Aristodemo now. Aristodemo with a little step over move, but can't create much space, so he'll play it back to Teixeira. Now to Rojas. Down to Laidley. Laidley in the left corner. Back out to Robbie. Shot, and that's well up into the crowd. Of course, St. Louis with a tremendous indoor soccer history going back to the original Major Indoor Soccer League and the St. Louis Steamers, who regularly drew crowds of 16,000, 17,000 at the old St. Louis Arena, also known for a while as the Checker Dome. Had the privilege of broadcasting from there before the ambush moved into what was then the beautiful new Kiel Center. Here's Laidley with the ball deep in the zone, and he can't control it. And puts it up over the glass into the crowd. But a tremendous soccer city for decades, both indoors and outdoors, but certainly one of the 2 or 3 cornerstone cities in the history of the sport, St. Louis. Here's a counter for the ambush now. Garcia can't control it, and Pereiras will take the outlet now from Sliwa. Pereiras gets it to Mugin. Mugin thought about trying to turn and shoot, but he was well marked in there by Garcia. Really a very solid first half for St. Louis here tonight. Mugin with it. He's got Mendez in front. There's Mendez. He tries to, there's a shot and a goal! Nascimento takes it off the dasher boards. It was Daniel Mendez who was the intended target, but it found its way over to Nascimento on a deflection, and Florida leads it 2-0. And St. Louis knows as well as anybody, Freddie Mugin is as good as anybody in the Major Arena Soccer League when it comes to using the dasher boards in the offensive zone. He knew Mendez was making a run. And even though Mendez wasn't there, Nascimento was smart enough to snug himself up to the penalty box area and collect the loose ball and knock it home. 2-0 Tropics with just over 2 minutes to go in the half. Knocked out a play, and it'll belong to St. Louis, I believe, rightly so. Cast with it on the quick restart. Cast over the red line. Plays it off the boards. He's knocked off his pegs by Lately, no whistle. Here come the Tropics one more time. It's Rojas knocked off the ball, and Adamson will come back. Adamson, long shot deflects wide. And Florida will control. Here's a long ball down to Juwan Lately. Lately gives it up to Rojas and the near boards and back to Montoleros. Tropics completing a line change here. Rodriguez will head to the bench after passing to Montoleros. Ball in for Mugin now. Mugin tries to play it off the glass, but puts it up over the end board, so St. Louis will get possession with just 56 seconds to go. Of course, in indoor soccer, that is a ton of time. Saw the Dallas Sidekicks score twice in a 20-second span last week after Florida had taken a 5-1 lead. Takata tries to clear the zone. There's a long ball. Slee was going to have to come out and play it as France was there. St. Louis threatening here in the final minute, and now Mugin will get it. Leaves it to Aristodemo. Aristodemo slow things up and will play it back to Montoleros now. Tropics would like to get one more, but they surely don't want to give one up here in the final 20 seconds. They may just be content to play it out. Arico will press forward, however. Arico at the red line to Aristodemo. There's a long ball by Teixeira, deflects out of play. So really the Tropics did not get overly aggressive on their offensive thoughts there, and perhaps just as well with a 2-0 lead that they should take to intermission. And there's the buzzer to end the first 30 minutes here in Lakeland. A solid effort by the Tropics and St. Louis. Very much in it here tonight. But goals by Victor Pereiras. And Rafa Nascimento will send the Tropics to the locker rooms leading 2-0. Delighted that you're with us here tonight in Lakeland. We'll have a special halftime guest with us here in just a couple of minutes. James Bennett, the reporter from the Lakeland Ledger, the daily newspaper here in Lakeland that has done a terrific job covering the Tropics this year. James with a really, really interesting story in this morning's edition of the Ledger, highlighting a number of the Brazilian connections here on the Tropics roster. In fact, the Swan City Syndicate recognizing those Brazilian connections as well, flying the Brazilian colors in the end zone to our right. Brazil is a hotbed of indoor soccer of a slightly different variety. They call it futsal. They do not play it with the dasher boards or the plexiglass. It's played basically on a basketball court with goals at each end of the court, but it's a game that really emphasizes ball skills, controls, dribbling, playing in tight quarters, and so that's why you see a number of Brazilian players with indoor experience excel in the United States. Of course, Tattoo is perhaps the best known and most successful of the Brazilian players. But you look at Ricardo Diegues here for Florida, Freddie Mugin and others with Brazilian connections, and it certainly is a very strong thread for this Florida Tropics team. Halftime here in Lakeland, it's the Florida Tropics 2 and the St. Louis Ambush nothing. And as we mentioned, pleased to be joined by James Bennett, who is the reporter for the Lakeland Ledger, who has done such a fine job covering the Florida Tropics. James, thank you for spending a couple of minutes with us here at intermission tonight. Appreciate the climb up to the platform here.
Very, very good setup, very stable.
Yeah, just don't take a couple of steps back or we're going to lose you. So, and we don't want to do that because the Ledger appreciates you, and so do we.
No worries.
Let's talk a little bit about indoor soccer. Obviously, it's not a sport that this community or this area had any familiarity with, and yet 11 games into the season, again, a pretty decent crowd here tonight. Your thoughts about just the sport and how the Tropics have gone about trying to bring it to Central Florida?
I think that the timing, what Major Arena Soccer League has done here in Florida, the timing is perfect. Today is a 4-day weekend. You look out here, you see a lot of parents taking their bad children out and tiring them out over this weekend. Sunday's game will be a great thing to help with that with it as well. They are very, very talented. You can tell that the players with the Tropics are playing like they're given an opportunity. And you haven't seen that in recent years here in sports that have been played at Lakeland, Florida. But they really, really are working and very, very active players. You're starting to see them get more comfortable in their roots. A lot of those plays on the back line, those mistakes that happened against Kansas City and Baltimore, they aren't happening anymore. And you're noticing that they're starting to find some stability, a little bit of flavor, and there's definitely a very good culture going on here.
Yeah, and I think, if you go back to even the preseason, and Coach Clay Roberts talked about the fact that his hope was by January, by February, this would be a much different and better team. And I think we've seen exactly what you've talked about. There were stretches in some of those early games this season where they just kind of fell apart. They would give up 3 or 4 goals in a 2 or 3 minute span. They would outplay a lot of teams for long stretches, but then they would have those bursts where the youth really and the inexperience just showed up, and they ended up losing some games they very well could have won. So I think your point is well taken, that they have matured, but they're still a very young team. I wanted you to talk a little bit, too, about the Tropics in the community, because they have really worked hard to get out to events and soccer clubs and youth groups, and that's such an important outreach effort as well. And talk a little bit, if you would, about their efforts in terms of not only on the field trying to ingrain themselves in the community, but off the field as well.
They're definitely doing a lot of the good work that it takes to make a team succeed in Lakeland. You start noticing them around at schools. You look around here, you're seeing a lot of kids wearing soccer jerseys, emulating those on the field, taking the little toy orange balls that we have out here for the kids, and they're trying to imitate the moves of these players. And there are a lot of fans here. There's fans here that are kind of in a lull because there's no more football in Florida. Football is very, very important in Florida. And after college, we kind of fall into a depression. It's seasonal affective disorder. There's no football. And we don't really care about basketball until Easter. Right now, January is a great time for indoor soccer to be flourishing in Lakeland, Florida. It's a lot like a tropical fruit. It's very ripe.
And you had a story in this morning's paper which was really interesting about all the Brazilian connections on this team. And we know that futsal, which is indoor soccer but a little different than this arena soccer, is huge in Brazil, and it's one of the reasons that so many Brazilian players can come to the United States and have the kind of success in arena soccer that we see some of them like Ricardo Diegues and others have. But you got a chance to talk to them about just integrating into Lakeland and how that's gone for them. And you shared some insights in the story, but what did you learn in talking with some of the guys that maybe surprised you about and maybe pleased you about their time here in Lakeland?
Well, they're very happy to be living in Lakeland. The climate is very similar. It's very subtropical. There's a player on the team. I won't name him on here, but he didn't bring his jacket. He didn't bring a coat. He didn't have a winter coat because he was so comfortable living in Florida, just like Brazil. Brazilian winters, there's a little bit different in the seasons there. But they very well integrated in the city. They're very much working to get out there and make themselves known. And they're like, once again, I'll say it again, they're playing like they're given an opportunity. Futsal, a lot of these Brazilian players, they're familiar with futsal because they played it in the streets of their communities, but they haven't played it on a professional level. They haven't been paid to do this.
Right.
This is an opportunity. Macon Franco, who didn't know any English coming off the plane, who scored a goal last week against San Diego, he said that he's given an opportunity, and this is a chance for him to live his dreams. And we're seeing that in the field. We're seeing these players, a lot of times, teams that come into the Lakeland Center, they have players that are working full-time jobs. These guys are making indoor soccer, futsal, a dream to them, and it seems very strange to us. It seems foreign to us because this is not a sport that we're familiar with, but they are very much taking it seriously, and we'll be taking it serious soon as well.
And I know you have a little bit of a soccer background, but you've, I'm sure, never probably seen in person a major arena soccer league game. What's your impression of the sport, the talent level, the commitment level, all of those kinds of things that are new to you as a reporter that covers the team? What are your overall impressions?
My overall impression of the sport is that it is great for Florida, especially great for this time of year. It's going to be difficult for it to compete with football, so perhaps we might need to make a habit of having the Florida Tropics on the road during the months of November and October, to where after Alabama is done with their season, then we get serious about being here. The January months, I promise you, are going to be a great time. Snowbirds are here. It's not a time of the year where teams in the Lakeland Center are doing a lot. Futsal is very exciting because it's a lot like hockey in that you watch it long enough, you end up getting an emotional connection. You can't help but, maybe yell when you see somebody score from behind that red line out there. I mean, great goals happen, and they happen more often. So fans that aren't fans of soccer will definitely be fans of this.
Yeah, and of course the whole central western Florida region is really hoping that soccer, both indoor and outdoor, catches on in a big way. It already has in Orlando, obviously, with Orlando City and Major League Soccer, and they will debut their brand new stadium in 2017. The Tampa Bay Rowdies have been a very big success story at the next level in the North American Soccer League. They will be joining the United Soccer League in 2017, which was just granted Division II status.
Yes.
And they are hoping to also make a push to Major League Soccer. Now, that would be certainly a few years away, but they have begun that process and that dialogue with city leaders over there, and at least planted the seed that Tampa St. Pete, as well as Orlando, could be a major league city when it comes to soccer. And I don't think that can do anything but benefit somebody like the Tropics, because it just creates that kind of interest in the sport. And the Tropics, a lot of people may not be familiar, are going to field an outdoor team this year as well in the USL, not the USL proper, but what they call their Premier Development League, which is kind of the feeder system to the USL, which is kind of the feeder system to Major League Soccer.
Going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and so the Tropics will actually have a 12-month-a-year presence here. And so I think all of those things, taking in the big picture context, really help the sport overall. And I don't know if you share that view or not, but you talked about the time being right, and maybe all those things make the time being right.
In 2015, a lot changed. People in Florida had a team to actually cheer for in Orlando City. In Polk County. Polk County is a county west of Orlando, a little far, kind of between Tampa and Orlando. And we had a great deal of Orlando City fans. I became an Orlando City fan, seeing them play against New York and seeing that Floridian culture, shown through MLS soccer. The Rowdies have always had a great fan base. They played here once back in the day, but the Florida Tropics, I believe, can be Polk County's team. It doesn't seem like an MLS team is in Lakeland's future, but a lot of this soccer, a lot of this great things, you're starting to see more kids going to soccer because of the risk of head trauma in football.
Yeah, right.
And as we start to transition, soccer is something that I believe will be kind of captured. There are a lot of kids playing soccer, but there are a lot of soccer fans that aren't necessarily kids anymore. A lot of kids grow out of playing soccer, but I believe that's beginning to change.
And what about tonight? A comment maybe on tonight's game. Again, a little bit of a slow start by the Tropics, similar to last week's game against Dallas, but they do hold a 2-0 lead. What do you expect in the second half?
What I expect in the second half is for the defense to remain firm. One of the things about this team is that Florida Tropics defense actually allowed a lot of goals early on in the season, just through mistakes on the back line, inexperience, and that sort of thing. as long as their defense remains firm and as long as Peter keeps a clean sheet, I believe it'll be a good night.
And that's an impressive thing to do in indoor soccer.
Very
There have
impressive.
been a couple of shutouts so far in the MASL this year. Sliwa not among those two, but that would be quite a feat, and he would certainly get a kick out of that against his former team in St. Louis. I think the other thing we might see a little bit more of that I thought Florida did really well in the win over Dallas is a lot of pressure on the ball all over the floor, and I don't think we've seen quite as much of that tonight as we saw last week. So do you think maybe that's something they'll be talking about in intermission as well?
Well, this is an 8-quarter game essentially, with a game on Friday and a game on Sunday.
Yeah, good point.
So I believe a lot of this is the teams getting familiar with each other. One of the things that I learned from the Brazilian players is that they're finding out that the game is more physical, at least professionally. They're finding out the game is a lot more physical. A lot of the calls that they believe they should get, they aren't getting. And as they become more familiar with that and, begin to throw some of their own elbows as well, I believe this will be a very good game. I noticed that rivalry was a game. We have a rival in Missouri, and I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, I think Sunday night's game particularly could be a lot more physical and intense in that regard as well. Well, James, we appreciate it. We're just about out of time here at halftime, but great job in covering the Tropics and the Ledger. We really appreciate that, and we'll look forward to maybe having you back later in the season and maybe in the playoffs, because who knows, the Tropics very much in the playoff hunt. These next 6 games here at home may go a long way towards determining that. And if you want to check out James's stuff, it's easy to do. It's www.theledger.com. So it's easy to find, and you really want to check out his story today about the Brazilian players here in Lakeland. Really gives a lot of really interesting insight about the game and how they've adapted to the game and Central Florida all at the same time, and how they've kind of built this team around that nucleus of Brazilian players. Halftime here at Lakeland. James, thank you very much.
I admire your bravery, putting a newspaper man on TV.
Yeah, there you go.
Takes a lot of courage.
Yeah, I knew you would do just fine. James Bennett from the Lakeland Ledger, and we appreciate his contributions both during the broadcast here tonight, and you can check out his game story tomorrow morning online at www.theledger.com. So 2-0 is our score as the teams head back to the turf at the Lakeland Center. As James mentioned, they'll be back at it Sunday afternoon at a 5:35 Eastern time start. And kind of an interesting thought there that this isn't really a 4-quarter game, it's an 8-quarter game, given that they will play again on Sunday. So perhaps the Tropics holding back a little in that first half, not wanting to show all their cards. But it would not at all be surprised to see them ratchet up some of the pressure that they used so very effectively, and especially in that win last week against Dallas, creating a number of scoring opportunities and got several goals off turnovers and that pressure that they pushed forward with. So we'll see if that is a bigger part, at least, of the game plan in the third and fourth quarter. St. Louis really kind of taking a page out of the Florida playbook with the pressure of their own and doing a good job creating some scoring opportunities, especially early in that first quarter. So the recap officially from the first 30 minutes, the Ambush outshooting Florida 14-12. St. Louis with 6 blocks in the half, Florida with 3. But the Tropics with the only 2 goals. Pereiras at 14:59, the spectacular bicycle kick goal, giving the Tropics a 1-0 lead. And then at the 12:40 mark of the second quarter, it was Rafa Nascimento on the assist from Freddie Mugin. And that's it. 2-0 was where we're at as we're underway here quickly in the third quarter. Rojas, long ball for Mugin, but Corey Dowell is back to track it for St. Louis and come out of there with it back to Clark. Quickly to Hundelt. And now up to Kostakis. Here's a 2-on-1 chance quickly. Oh, and a good feed through. Shot on Sliwa with great anticipation and a save. Blentlinger was there on the far post, and Sliwa knew it and got over there just in the nick of time. Great save by Sliwa. Just 40 seconds into the half. Rojas Down to Laidley. Laidley loses possession, and they're going to say will be a restart for the Tropics. Teixeira with it. Long shot blocked by Kostakis. In case you weren't with us at the top of the broadcast, here's Monaleris with a steal and a rather weak shot that Clark handles easily. The ambush without two of their star players. Stefan St. Louis, one of their leading goal scorers. Here's a shot by Rojas blocked. Did not make the trip. Nor did Chris Mattingly, who is the league leader in shots blocked this year with 30. But St. Louis defensively has done a nice job getting in the way of a number of Florida shots, even in Mattingly's absence. But those are two big losses. Another regular, Ross McGregor, also did not make the trip, but certainly trying to fill the shoes of St. Louis. Here's an opportunity now for the Tropics. Rodriguez can't come up with it as Clark takes it away. Mugin is down. And so is Hundelt as they kind of collided and now embrace. I don't think there was any ill intent there on either side, but they both went down hard, and Hundelt will limp to the St. Louis bench. Yeah, Mattingly, not only the team leader for St. Louis in shots blocked, but the league leader with 30. So no harm, no foul, and hopefully no serious injury. Just for comparison's sake, in terms of the shot block department, J.P. Reyes leads the Tropics this year with 10 shot blocks. So Mattingly with 30. That is a defensive loss certainly for St. Louis. Here's Sliwa. Goes right to Clark. Wanted Mugin, but it was a little bit too far for the Tropics captain. Blentlinger with it. Was robbed by Sliwa just 35 seconds into the half. Now back out to Dowell. Mugin intercepts. And it goes to Sliwa. Almeida was lurking in front there for St. Louis, but Sliwa was able to get to it before Almeida could do any damage. Aristodemo will head off on a line change. Teixeira with it. To Pereiras. Drives it into the St. Louis zone. Laidley can't come up with it. Here's Adamson. Nate Cast is down and injured for St. Louis now. Looks to be perhaps a left ankle injury. Didn't see exactly what happened, but he's going to hobble over to the St. Louis bench as well. So the ambush already a little short-handed now with Cast and perhaps Hundelt banged up. Can see Hundelt behind the St. Louis bench trying to run off his leg injury. So I expect he may be back in the game. Here's a shot near side, just misses by Adamson. Tries to then play it around the dasher boards, but Sliwa is equal to the challenge there. Reyes back for the Tropics. He has it knocked away, and it's Schmerman. Richard Schmerman, the leading point getter for St. Louis with a long, low drive. Sliwa with the save. Quick outlet and a counter opportunity here. Rojas tries to feed it through to Mugin, but he just couldn't quite catch up to it as Clark had that one sniffed out. Schmerman with it. Played ahead now to France. Has it knocked away. Florida will take over at their own red line. Teixeira gives it up to Rojas at the half line. Far side to Montoleros. Teixeira's got Laidley down low at the top of the arc, but being watched there closely by Garcia. Not much space to operate. Now they'll get it to Laidley. Deep in the left corner. Laidley with it. Doesn't have anywhere to go with it. Tried to take a look in front where Rojas was lurking, but didn't have enough space to get it to him. Montoleros has it now. This is Nascimento, one of the two Tropics goal scorers on the evening. Aristodemo with it. Tropics on a line change. Ball through to Robbie. Robbie with a shot and a block at the St. Louis defense. Reyes with pressure as St. Louis will play it back to Clark. Over to Dowell. And now up to Almeida. Just over 9 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Only game going right now in the Major Arena Soccer League is this one. Here's Ian Garrett with it. Garrett, top of the penalty arc, some fancy footwork. Tripped up in there is Blentlinger, and we have a whistle and a foul. And do we have a blue card or not? We may. We do. Took a while. But St. Louis will go on the power play. First blue card of the game. In fact, the first blue card against Florida in 2 games. There were no penalties called last week in the Dallas win, and they will call a penalty kick here since the foul came in the penalty box area. So Almeida will do the honors. All alone against Peter Sliwa here. And Almeida will advance on the whistle. Well, if you're Peter Sliwa, all you can do is guess and hope. Very difficult situation for the goaltender, obviously. There's the whistle. Almeida ready with the advance, the shot, and a save. No, he got in. It just got through. Sliwa got a hand on it, but it powered through just over the goal line to the back of the net, and the St. Louis Ambush are on the board. For Almeida, just his second goal of the season. And this is 7th game, so cuts the Tropics lead in half at 2-1. Sliwa actually guessed correct, but Almeida really had a lot up behind it and deflected off Sliwa into the goal. Here's Mugen with it for the Tropics out to Teixeira. Arico with it now. Arico on the steal. Gives it up to Pereiras. After Mugen was in there. Now Teixeira with it. A long shot wide. Mugen tried to get a rebound to himself and couldn't control it on the header off the end boards. Pereiras will track it down out near the center line. If you're keeping score at home, it was actually Sliwa, the goaltender, who was called for the tripping penalty. So Montoleros tried to chip it in front of Laidley, gets it right back and plays it to Teixeira. To Mendez. Daniel Mendez making his debut tonight for the Tropics. Signed this week after training with the side for about the last 3 weeks. Coming from the North American Soccer League Minnesota United, where he was a big offensive threat for that team. 15 goals in 2 seasons there. The United moving from the USL to Major League Soccer in 2017. Mendez playing there in 2014 and 2015. Appeared in just a game or two very briefly last season. Played professionally for 8 years in Sweden in that country's top league and had 52 goals in 186 games. So gives you an idea of his offensive skills. He will head to the bench on a line change here. Let's see if the Tropics can counter. 2-1 now on the penalty kick goal by Almeida. Aristodemo with it to Nascimento. St. Louis hanging very tough here, and that is something that always is a cause for concern when you let a team hang around. Here's Mugin. Tried to get it to Aristodemo, can't. Clark clears it. Clark couldn't control it cleanly, but got it out of there with his foot just in time. Counter attack for Contreras. Now he decides he doesn't have much help and he'll pull it back out to midfield. Adamson with it to Takada. Takada still with it at the red line. Pressure by Aristodemo, and now Mugin will come in there. Krantz comes up with it for the ambush. A lot of play out here at the neutral zone at the moment. Garcia with it. Now into the Florida offensive third to Adamson. Adamson being marked in there by Nascimento. He'll play it all the way back out to Garcia. 5 minutes to go, third quarter, 2-1. Florida on top. Here's a shot, good block by Aristodemo. Dowell tried to let it go from the red line. He's got it back to Takada, and he'll play it all the way back to Garcia. Line change for the Tropics. Teixeira steps on, as does Anthony Arrico. Arrico with a little pressure in there, and there's Hundelt with it. Good to see Dylan back on the floor for the ambush after getting shaken up in a collision with Freddie Mugin. Here's a long shot, doesn't quite get through as Teixeira got a piece of it, and then Sliwa is able to cover. JP Reyes now for Florida. Back to Sliwa. Being watched in there by Adamson. Almeida with some pressure, but Reyes clears it to Teixeira. And Teixeira will give it right back to Reyes. Not a lot of great opportunities here in the third quarter for the Tropics. Teixeira to Laidley. Gets it to Pereiras. Pereiras and Teixeira play a little back and forth. Now into the ambush zone and right back out to Teixeira. Laidley and Arrico up front. There's the ball into Laidley, but he can't control it. Schmerman and Clark. There's some pressure from Laidley and a steal. Laidley with it. There's a shot, goes high and wide by Arrico. As we talked a little bit at halftime, there just has not been the kind of pressure tonight by the Tropics in the St. Louis end of the field that we saw last week against Dallas. There have been spurts, as we just saw by Lately there, but there has been nothing particularly sustained. So see if perhaps that's something that Clay Roberts will talk with his troops about during this timeout. Talked about how St. Louis is really a hotbed of indoor soccer and has been for decades, going back to the original Major Indoor Soccer League. But the sport actually has a history in St. Louis, I discovered this week, that goes earlier than the St. Louis Steamers, and back, in fact, all the way to 1971, when the North American Soccer League played an indoor tournament at the old St. Louis Arena. They called it HOCSOC, H-O-C-S-O-C, the HOCSOC tournament. In 1971, considered the first indoor variant of the sport, sanctioned by the North American Soccer League. It was held March 19th. 1971, 4 of the 8 teams in the NASL at that time competed. The Dallas Tornado, the Rochester Lancers, the Washington Darts, and the St. Louis Stars of the NASL. Dallas went on to win the tournament 3-0. They had a crowd of just over 5,000 at the St. Louis Arena that night. And you might have heard the name of the goaltender for the Tornado that evening, Kenny Cooper, who went on to an illustrious coaching career in indoor soccer, primarily with the Baltimore Blast. But St. Louis and indoor soccer go all the way back to 1971, that night of HOCSOC at the arena. Here's a counterattack opportunity for the Ambush. Fortunately, they've come up with a better name since then, but that's what they called it in 71, HOCSOC. Remarkably, a number of the rules are very similar that night as to what they still are today. Contreras with it. Contreras' left foot shot, blocked by Manolares. Mendez tracks it down, waiting for some help, and he'll play it back to Manolares. And he'll play it all the way back to Sliwa. Up to Rodriguez. One of the interesting aspects of that night was what turned out to be the rather low-scoring games. They played 30-minute games, and people expected more goals than there were. The goals in that game were 12 feet wide by 8 feet tall. They are 14 by 8 now in the Major Arena Soccer League. But the players said afterwards that they had trouble adjusting to the fact there was no offsides in indoor soccer. Of course, that's still very true today, no offsides, although there is a 3-line violation if the ball is kicked or thrown over all 3 lines in the air. But no offsides per se, certainly nothing equivalent to the outdoor game at least. Rojas with it for the Tropics. Lately shoved. No whistle. It's been a physical game, but not as physical as the game last week against Dallas. The officials really let them play then. Here's Lately. He's taken down. Here's Aristodemo on the continuation, and Clark comes out and makes a save. One of the better opportunities here of the third quarter for Florida. Teixeira will play it back to Sliwa as we're in the final minute of the third quarter. St. Louis with the only goal of the quarter. 2-1 Florida. And if you'd have told Tony Glavin he'd be down by just a goal heading to the fourth quarter here tonight, he'd have said thank you very much, I'm sure. Here's Freddie Mugin with it. Mugin to Manolares. Manolares over to Teixeira. Now to Pereiras, 18 seconds to go. Tropics looking for one more opportunity. Manolares deflected over the boards into the crowd by Almeida. He was hoping it would stay in, and the Tropics fortunate that it didn't. Here's Manolares on the restart. Tried to hit a Rico running through the box, couldn't do it. Down to 4 seconds. Mujin is pushed, and a whistle and a foul with 1.1 seconds to go. So perhaps a chance for a restart set piece here for the Tropics just inside the St. Louis red line. That'll have to be something near the goal. There's a shot and a goal! Victor Pereiras with his second of the night. Oh, another backbreaker given up by the ambush, and Tony Glavin is very, very unhappy. And I can't blame him. That was from about 45 feet out with just over a second to play, and Pereiras buried it in the top far corner. Spectacular shot by Pereiras, who's had 2 beauties here tonight. And Florida back on top 3-1. So Pereiras scores at 14:59 of the first quarter, and it'll be officially, I guess, 14:59 of the third quarter. They actually put just 0.2 of a second back on the clock. So what a shot by Pereiras, who comes up with his second of the game. To give Florida the 3-1 lead. Well, that's a little bit of breathing room. Pereiras now with 8 goals on the season, and he is the third Tropics player to break into double digits in the point scoring column. He now has 8 goals and 2 assists on the season. So let's see if the Tropics can indeed come home a winner tonight, and in doing so, create their first ever winning streak. After the win last Friday here against Dallas. Florida at 4-7, which in the win column is tied for second place in the East. They are actually behind Harrisburg and Syracuse, who have played less games. Syracuse and Harrisburg have each played 9 games. Both are 4-5. Florida playing their 12th game here tonight at 4-7. As we mentioned, the Heat will play tomorrow against Baltimore. I don't believe Syracuse is in action this weekend. But remember, the last 6 games of the regular season, 3 against Harrisburg and 3 against Syracuse. So we'll see plenty of the Eastern Division foes before all is said and done. Underway here in the fourth quarter. 3-1 Florida. Nascimento with it, and he'll play it to Sliwa. Hasn't been quite as exhilarating as the game last week against Dallas, but effective so far nonetheless for the Tropics. I think you may see the real fireworks Sunday afternoon here. Whistle on the near boards, and they will call Florida for the foul.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention, please? The Tropics would like to give a special birthday shout-out to Leo and Brian.
Here's a pair of twos, Kostakis and Nascimento battling for it. Kostakis will come out of there, and he'll get it back to Hundelt. Hundelt's been battling a foot problem for the better part of a year. Came back and played in that win over loss against Milwaukee last week that St. Louis played so well in. So Tony Glavin happy to have a healthy Hundelt back in the lineup. Here's Schmerman with it out at the red line. Long shot off the post. Oh, and a good rebound opportunity just missed there. Victor France could not quite control the rebound, or he probably had the ambush's second goal of the game. And you can see why Schmerman is the leading point getter on this ambush team. That was a wicked shot, just missed. France with it, long shot and a goal! And I mean a bomb from about 70 feet. It was either partially deflected or Sliwa was screened because Peter never moved. He never saw it before it was by him. And from that distance, and it was well struck, no question, but St. Louis is right back in it. Trailing now just 3-2. And that was a good 15, 20 feet outside the red line. That was from distance and then some. And still a ton of time to go here in the fourth quarter. More than 13 minutes. Clark will clear the zone. Letlinger was looking for the header to nobody there. Here's Sliwa with the ball into the St. Louis zone. Laley with it, tries to get around Hundelt. Hundelt takes Laley down. Laley gets up, fights for it in front. Here's the shot, a goal! Robbie Aristodemo! Great effort by Joanne Laidley as he kept that play alive to the right of Casey Clark. I believe Laidley will get the assist. If he didn't, he certainly made the play happen. And Aristodemo right there to put it far post to give Florida that two-goal cushion once again. Things may really open up here in the fourth. Here's Monaleris. He had Mugin going one way and the pass went another. Now Arico with the steal. Arico tries to get it to Mugin in front, and I think Clark just did get a hand on it. Good idea by Arico there. But all of a sudden, a lot more energy on the floor here. Here's Takata back for the ambush. Monaleris steps in. And he will clear the zone, Mugin does, and head to the Tropics sideline. Laidley will come back on. Out there up front now with Arico and Victor Pereiras, who's got two of the four Florida goals. Here's Teixeira with an intercept. Oh, he had a 3-on-2 and couldn't pick up Arico. Restart for the Tropics here. Teixeira at the half circle. Stolen away almost by Almeida. But Sliwa is able to control it. Now into the St. Louis zone to Laidley. He'll back it out. And Arico will pick it up at the mid-court line. Nascimento has one of the Florida goals tonight. Rodriguez plays it in for Mugin. To Nascimento back at midfield. Tropics will reset the offense here. Rodriguez being watched by Almeida, and he will draw the foul, does Rodriguez, on the Almeida push. 10.5 to go. Tropics bidding for their 5th win of the season, 3rd at home. They are 2-2 here at the Lakeland Center. They played just 3 of their first 10 games at home. 7 were on the road, including 1 in St. Louis. Here's Nascimento with it. Hundelt will track it down for St. Louis, however. Restart for the ambush. Clark up to Takada. Takada being marked by Aristodemo. Kind of like Anthony Arrico. He brings a lot of energy to the floor when he's out there. It's kind of an energy unit right now with Lately, Aristodemo, and Arrico. Pass intercepted, then stolen back by St. Louis. Here's a chance for Adamson. Shot. Sliwa with a save. A rebound in front. Knocked out of there by Arrico, and it will be either a corner kick or a restart for St. Louis. Corey Adamson, a bit of a home game for him. He is a native of Clearwater. So they are going to call it I believe, a corner kick here for the ambush, and that's what it'll be. But Adamson with a great scoring opportunity there, just couldn't quite get enough control. Here's a shot, and speaking of not quite enough control, Lucas Almeida sends one to somewhere around Auburndale. Here's Mugen with it. Plays it over to Pereiras now. Pereiras bidding for a hat trick. It's pushed off the ball by Almeida, no whistle. Steal, here's Mugen. Mugen shot, and I think Clark might have got a piece of it. Here's another steal by the Tropics. Arrico with it. Arrico dances away from trouble as Kostakis was all over him. But the Tropics control, and Arrico will head to the bench. Good shift. Here's Mugen to Monalera. Shot a rocket, and that is wide, near post. France back for the ambush. Stolen away by Monaleras. Mendez plays it to Teixeira. Be nice to see Mendez get involved in the offense here. Here's Monaleras. Shot, great opportunity, far post. And Mugen just couldn't quite control it. Great run by Freddie off the ball there. Sliwa will play it to Teixeira. Garcia gets it back for St. Louis now. Intercepted by Teixeira. Here's Laidley. Laidley being watched by Crayons, and he will turn back and let Florida complete a line change. J.P. Reyes onto the floor now for the Tropics. 7:54 to go. Rojas tries to spin off the boards, collides with Crayons. No whistle. Play on, says the officials. And this is Bletlinger back with it for the ambush. Leaves it off for Takaba. Back to Bletlinger. And Sliwa came out and made a nice play. Here's Laidley. Tried to hit Rojas, couldn't do it. Counterattack opportunity for St. Louis. There's a shot, good sliding block by Teixeira. Ball over to Takada, shot, and he puts that somewhere past Auburndale out towards Haines City, I think. Takada was calling for the ball for about 10 or 15 seconds at the top of the box. He finally got it, but mishit it badly. Timeout on the floor with 7:20 to go in the fourth quarter. 4-2. Tropics trying to win their 5th of the season. St. Louis trying to win their 2nd.
B8 or C9.
Their lone win, of course, coming against Florida back on December 9th.
Give us your answer.
Scoring 6 second-half goals to
Jacob says B8. Your
erase a halftime deficit.
fans may have a drum roll, please.
Shots on goal through 3 quarters. St. Louis continuing to outshoot
Correct. Congratulations.
Florida 21-18 now.
Nicely done, Jacob. You are a true star.
They have given us very good accounting of themselves for a 1-9 team.
Less than 8 minutes left. Let's get loud. Let's get tropical.
Particularly strong defensive effort in the absence of Chris Mattingly. And Peter Sliwa has come up big against his former team on a couple of occasions as well. We'll look for the ambush a little early, certainly to go to a 6th attacker, but if it stays 4-2 in the next 2 or 3 minutes, Tony Glavin will certainly start to think about it. Here's Rojas with it. Rojas has Mugin. Rojas shot. Oh, just wide. He looked for Mugin far post again. Reyes trying to keep it alive for the Tropics and does. That's twice Mugin has just missed at the back post. Long ball into Mugin again. Freddie trying to turn at the top of the arc. Pereiras in there. Mugin being watched closely by Dowell. And Tropics will play it back out to the midfield line. Push by Takata. Kind of near the dasher boards, but no foul called, but no blue card. Pereiras and Monaleros there on the restart. Pereiras bidding for the Tropics' 3rd hat trick of the year and 2nd in as many games. Here's Mugin. Gives it to Teixeira. Pereiras was lurking far post, but ball never got to him, and there's a 3-line violation, so the Tropics will get a restart from the St. Louis red line. Pereiras will do it. If he sees a little space, he may try and take the shot himself. Tropics have had some success from distance this year. Here's Pereiras, lays it off to Freddie, and Freddie misses far and wide. And St. Louis will get the restart with 5:58 to go. Casey Clark still in goal. He will start it to Schmerman, being watched in there by Enrico. Teixeira heads it, and we've got a whistle and a foul against Teixeira. He and Lentlinger collided. Lentlinger with it now. Schmerman being challenged by Enrico, and Clark will control. To Hundelt, ahead to Takata. Monaleros tries the intercept, gets there, but Takata gets it back. Laidley thrown down. Here's a break opportunity now for Pereiras. Pereiras. Oh, and a good defensive play. Really nice defensive work by Schmerman as he came back and knocked it away from Pereiras as he surveyed the scene to see what kind of help he had and didn't know that Schmerman was coming as quickly as he was. Garcia now with it. Gets it ahead for Takata, right back to Mitchell Garcia. Teixeira knocks it away, and Reyes comes up with it. whistle and a foul. This one will go against the Tropics as well, and I think it's Takata this time who is shaken up. Nope, beg your pardon, it's Almeida, Lucas Almeida, that is down. So we'll have a break in the action here with 4:53 to go. Clark still in the ball game. No, he's having a discussion with Tony Glavin from about the mid floor line to I'm sure get an idea of when Glavin would like him to come to the bench in favor of that sixth attacker. Almeida is okay. Schmerman on the restart. Here's Takata. Tries a half volley from long range and mishits it, but gets it back.
The second ever Street of the Tropics Youth Clinic will be held this Sunday at 11 a.m. right here in the main arena at the Lakeview.
Garcia will set it up again for St. Louis. Tropics with good defensive pressure. Now finally a pass into the Tropics zone, and it's Adamson there. Hundelt now for the ambush. Battles against two Tropics in there. Now four of them in there battling, and Teixeira tried to clear the zone, can't. Rodriguez, finally the foul is called as Rodriguez was held. Down to 3:55 to go, and would have to think that perhaps the next time St. Louis gets possession, they will call a timeout and go to the sixth attacker. Sliwa. Now Aristodemo with it. Up to Mugin. Mugin turns, shot, and Clark got just a piece of it. Crafty little move there by the veteran Freddie Mugin, who steals it away again. Teixeira has it, and he'll play it all the way back to Sliwa. The Tropics certainly content to let a little clock run right here, leading 4-2. Sliwa being pressured. But St. Louis can't control as Contreras had a chance at the red line, but couldn't come up with it. Inside 3 minutes to go now. Rojas on the near boards. Plays it all the way over to Pereiras. Pereiras drives one down for Laidley. Laidley. Oh, he tried to head it to Rojas making a run and couldn't quite do it. Here's St. Louis on a counter. Kostakis. Stolen away by the Tropics. Here's Pereiras. Doesn't have any help with him, though he will smartly keep control and play it back out to the midfield circle. St. Louis has not been able to go to a sixth attacker yet. Good heads-up play by Pereiras. He's got 2 goals in the game, and that was as good a play as any. Here's Arico. Arico. Back to Monolaris. Monolaris with it. Over to Nascimento. To Sliwa. Ahead for Rodriguez and right back to Nascimento. Tropics certainly happy to just play some possession here. Now here's the inlet pass to Mugin. Can't control it, and here's a counter-attack opportunity for St. Louis. 2-on-1 if they hurry. France. Oh, and he tried the cross-floor pass just a little out of the reach of the Tropics, or rather the ambushes. Schmerman, there's a shot and a goal. Deflection in front as St. Louis created that 2-on-1 opportunity and just missed, and then picks up the loose ball and cashes with 1:31 to play. So they didn't get the sixth attacker on and still come up with a goal. And we are in for a much tenser final 91 seconds than we imagined. The Tropics certainly seem to have things well in control until now. And we'll see Clark is going to head to the bench now, I think, in favor of the sixth attacker. We'll see if that's how Tony Glavin wants to play it. But with only 1:31 to go, you want to make sure you get your sixth attacker out there with enough time to set up and perhaps get the equalizer. Well, it's been a good effort by St. Louis tonight. They started in Milwaukee with what Tony Glavin thought was their best effort of the season last weekend. They led 3-2 in the fourth quarter before falling 5-3. And here tonight they are within a goal with just 91 seconds to go. And indeed, Lucas Almeida has come into the ball game as the sixth attacker now for St. Louis. Teixeira, Arico, Reyes, Nascimento, and Monaleros out there with it for the Tropics. Here's a long ball into Reyes. Reyes loses it to Dowell. Teixeira trying to pressure the ball. Schmerman with it. And here comes the sixth attacker now. Almeida with it for St. Louis. Top of the box, that's Dowell. Gets knocked off the ball, comes back out to Almeida. Final minute of play. Can the Tropics hold on? Here's a long shot. Good block defensively by Monaleros. Takada tried to get it into the corner to France. Over to Hundelt. Into the box. Oh, France. Great defensive play by Arico as he just recovered in time. And Sliwa is injured. Arico was also shaken up as he just got back in time to knock a ball away at the last second, or St. Louis would have tied this game. Didn't see exactly what happened to Sliwa, who gets to his feet and gets a pat from the official. 33 seconds to go, so probably one more legitimate opportunity for St. Louis. Time, at least, for one more opportunity as Sliwa unloads deep down the field. Arico will control. 3 ambush in there. Now stolen away. Here's a chance for the Tropics. Shot in front. Oh, and a great anticipation play by Almeida. One more chance for the ambush. Here's Dowell with it. Dowell at the red line. Trying to control. Loses possession. Here's a long ball by Arico. Will it find net? It won't, but it may kill enough time. We'll see. Almeida back. 3 seconds to go. Here's Almeida with a long ball down the floor. Not enough time. And indeed, the Florida Tropics have their first ever winning streak. Winners tonight here at the Lakeland Center over the St. Louis Ambush, a very game opponent. The final 4-3. Well, it was a little tighter than Coach Clay Roberts would have liked, I'm certain. Of course, St. Louis had quite a bit to do with that. A nice effort by the Ambush, but they will fall now to 1-10 in what is the very, very difficult Central Division. The Tropics improved to 5-7 on the season. And in the win column, at least, as we've talked about, now in second place in the division but not really, because they have still 2 more losses in the loss column than Harrisburg and Syracuse. So those 2 teams technically still a half game ahead of Florida in the standings, but nonetheless a nice way to continue the homestand here for the Tropics. By the way, they gave that last St. Louis goal to Takata. So it was Kentaro Takata that got the goal at 13:29 as Tony Glavin huddles his troops in front of the bench, and I'm sure the message was, let's keep working hard and good things will come. They are not far, it doesn't look like, from getting it turned around, and we'll find out Sunday night if, in fact, they can pick up their second win of the season, because that's when these 2 teams will tangle again. A 5:35 start here at the Lakeland Center. Tickets available online at www.fltropics.com. The quick recap: Victor Pereiras with 2 goals tonight, including one that you'll want to make sure you rewind and watch at www.masseltv.com, a bicycle kick goal at the end of the first quarter. He had 2, Nascimento with 1, and Robbie Aristodemo with what turns out to be the game winner in the fourth quarter for the Tropics. The final score once again here tonight from the Lakeland Center: the Florida Tropics 4 and the St. Louis Ambush 3. Stay safe in St. Louis, everybody. Sounds like it could be kind of a harrowing weekend, and we will keep you in our thoughts as that big ice storm works its way through the Midwest, and we hope everyone gets through that without too much trouble. We will talk to you again Sunday afternoon from the Lakeland Center. Have a great night, everybody.